Welcome back to United Gamers Authority. I'm Shade Hunter, and today we are back in Empyrion, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's kind of a combo of what everybody was asking for. This episode, we're doing a three-part episode series this week for Empyrion. 2 weeks ago, I did one for Conan, where I did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday and Thursday. I had Conan. Last week with Tuesday and Thursday was 7 days. This week we are doing Empyrion on Tuesday and Thursday. This week is going to be 3 days straight of Empyrion. We're going to be going into this showing you how to set up a creative world so you can build a vehicle or a base or anything that you want to be able to bring into the real world and show you how to, not real world, into the actual playing the game, and show you how you can go about doing that so that you can utilize the factory while you're playing the game rather than having to build everything as you go. Starting off is going to your single player and start a game, and you're at this time, instead of clicking survival, you're going to go down here and click creative, and then there's different creative games. We're going to name this as UGA Build World. We're going to set that name. Now, if you notice, there's no seed or anything because all the worlds are the same. And there's empty world, no. I would suggest saying no, so you have somewhere to place your items and look at it. And you want the planet size large. Now, there's all kinds of different worlds, and they've added more. White canvas is a new one. I haven't seen that one before. I have seen the orbital place before, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off of this arid planet one, and we're going to jump into this creative world, and I'm going to explain how you'd go about navigating in creative mode. All right, here we are in this beautiful, flat, clean world to be able to bring in and build and check out all kinds of things. Now, one bonus about these creative worlds is you can bring in ships you've gotten off the workshop and go through them and look at them and see if it's something you want to do. Also, in the creative world, the jetpack never runs out, so you can fly around and not have any problems whatsoever. You also don't take any damage because you're effectively God mode. Now, there are controls. You can read this at your leisure. Really interesting information. I may come back over here and remind myself on what does what. But those are the instructions. There's, let's see here. Do they give you anything? Yeah, they got all kinds of building blocks in here. There's also the how-to items right here, and steel blocks. They've also got a vehicle here. It kind of looks like a car. That's funny. Creative library. They've got all kinds of interesting things in here. This is a lot of information. And don't worry, I will not bore you with reading all of this at the moment. If you want to see it and read it for yourself, you can make a creative world and read it all yourself. Because that's a lot of reading that would take up a lot of time. But we want to get started on building something. I want to show you how to bring in something from the workshop. For example, if you wanted to bring something in and look at it. You go into your list here. You go into your factory, and you've got pretty much everything in here. Don't worry about the red ones. The red ones are Reforged Eden only. And this is not a creative Reforged Eden world. But there are some that will work in here. But let's go ahead and just choose the stock items. Let's go ahead and bring in one of each types of these so we can check them out. Let's bring in, well, we're wanting to do a miner in our playthrough game, so let's go ahead and check out the miner. and you just click spawn, and you can place it way up here, but that really wouldn't do any good. And then you just left click and it places it down. And you can even get in it, change view, see how it feels. And it actually feels pretty good. And I can turn it off and it plops on the ground. Next one, we want a SV we want to look at. So let's see here. There's all kinds of ones. We really only need a scout ship. I brought that one in. That one's nice. It's fun. Let's go ahead and bring in one of these UCH ones. How about that? Let's bring in this rapier. Works pretty good. Now let's bring in a CV, a big one. So one of the things that you're going to find going through the quest line is you're going to have to find the UCH Titan, but you only ever see it in pieces. So let's go ahead and show you what the UCH Titan looks like in one piece. It is absolutely massive. Now, it also doesn't fly very fast, but it's big. See, this is the hangar bay, all intact. It goes into these long corridors. It's quite large. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can spawn it in, check it out yourself. Also, if you go into God mode while you're here, you want to use the ASWD to go forward, back, side to side. C goes down, space goes up. In this mode, it's easier if you're in first person view. Also in God mode, you can go through walls and you can just kind of take a peek at everything. Pretty cool. Now, if you brought something in, because in a creative world, it can get pretty crowded. If you brought something in and you want to delete it, what you want to do is you press the button next to the 1 in the US, that's the tilde key. I don't know any other keyboards or any controls on any other platforms. This is just my computer. Then you want to do DI to bring up the debug info. And in the upper right hand corner, you'll see that there is an ID and then it says MS Titan. Well, you're going to take that ID and say destroy, and you put the ID of that item and it removes it. Now, in building, let's get out of God mode. Let's go ahead and grab a couple of blocks out of here. You also don't have any weight to worry about because you also have these things on here. Multi-tool is always nice to have. Then you have the texture tool. Fuel and stuff to do some testing if you want. Let's go ahead and go with the hover vehicle. Now, to place the hover start, it has an arrow on there, and that's facing the front. I've found that it's really difficult to build things when you place it like this, because then it just falls on the ground. What I like to do is take a block that's a big block for the ground and go to walls. And sometimes I'll do the single wall, but also sometimes I like to do the double wall. And what you can do is you can place a few of these down. And you can do this in game if you're just building legitimately. You can do this in game as well. Put a few of these down like that, and then you want to place that there, because if you have this here, you could also keep it on your base, and it would be a place for you to be able to repair easier if you didn't have a repair bay, because there is a block called a repair bay that repairs your thing. And this is perfect for starting hover vehicles. If you notice, it keeps wanting me to put it down there. Let's go ahead and bring it up like this and then place it. I place it right. Sometimes it takes a little finagling and it will probably end up falling, but if it's stuck there in the air like that, what you can do, just to make sure that it doesn't fall like that, is you go ahead and hurry up and place a block on it. So I'm going to shift right click to delete the blocks, and then we'll try that again. Another thing you can do is have the half walls, so they're not as high. You can do it like that, half walls. Or one thing that I'm going to attempt to try right now is go ahead and go single wall, but I'm going to do it like that and like that. That way it has something to sit on that can balance it, and it shouldn't fall. Another thing you can do is, if you're doing an SV or an HV, is you place down the block, go ahead and put a cockpit or something on it to be able to control it. Then you grab 4 thrusters. Well, you need thrusters to go in each direction, even 1 thruster in each direction. And then you can actually fly it up and then set it on something like this. Or if you want it even higher, if let's say you don't want the core to be close to the outside, you build up some type of scaffolding up high enough to where you want the core, and then you build it from there. Later on, when it has its own landing gear, then you could take it off of these and fill it out the rest of the way. There are other tricks to be able to move the core. I do not know them. Every time I try it, it messes up, so I don't know how Spange does it. He just does it. So now you're looking at your block that you want to build on, but let's say you want to build out the same exact thing on each side. Well, you look at it and push in, and then you say symmetry plane, and you can click whatever block you want the symmetry plane on. And it will put it wherever you want it. Let's go ahead and take that one off, put that one back. Now, if I say lock, you'll see that we have a symmetry plane in the 4 directions. Another thing you can do is you can take that one off and turn that one on, and then click the front of this block, And now you have a symmetry plane that's vertical and horizontal. So if I place one here, it's going to place one everywhere else. Now, you have to keep in mind that because of this block on here and it's sitting on it, it won't be able to place that other block. But right now, I don't really care about the up and down symmetry plane, because I'll show you a trick here in a second. So I'm just going to take away that one. Now, anything that goes on either side of this is going to work. So let's go out a couple of blocks, because a miner, you always want it to be slightly wide, have a wide stance. And then if you go down, it still puts it down. And if you go up, it'll put it up on both sides. And that is how you do the symmetry plane. These are the basics for building. One thing you want to make sure and do is think about what you're building and how far into the game you need to get those items. So, for example, if I want to build a hover vessel and I want to be able to have it a miner, and I go ahead and build the mining things on it, I need to make sure I can actually build them. You go in here, you have multiple different mining options. You have the tier 1 drill, you have a harvester. So the tier 1 drill you can't have until level 9. So you want to make sure that you can actually build that in game. And this actually tells you all the crafting items needed down at the bottom. Now, if I were to build this with these drill lasers, I wouldn't be able to make it until I'm level 25 because of the high-end components that it would need. So just keep that in mind when you're building stuff in creative. There is a level requirement in the game. Now, you can turn that off, like I've shown before when I created my last game. But if you're like me and you want a more immersive feel to it, you want to be able to unlock the things before you actually get the item. And I always thought that was kind of weird that you could build these massive things by level 10, but you're not even allowed to have those items until you're level 25. So that always made me feel kind of off doing it that way. To place large planes of blocks, you can just push and hold the main button, the left mouse button, and you can drag it out and it will place a long line like so. And if you click in this corner and hold left control while you do it and pull it out, you can actually pull out a big plane of them. That if you keep it aimed in that same line, it will go flat or horizontal. If you go down, it will go vertical. Now, I don't intend on keeping this because I have no idea what it would be. One thing you have to keep in mind when you're doing this, make sure you pay attention to where that arrow is. If you place a cockpit backwards, your controls are going to be backwards. No, I don't speak from experience at all. I believe that's pretty much it for the basics. I do intend on building my first hover vehicle legitimately in game. And then after that, what we'll do is I will do a live stream to build SVs and HVs and like a hover tank, a fighter, SV, and so on and so forth. Now, what if you wanted to do a creative world, but you wanted to do it with Reforged Eden? Because this is all vanilla. Let me show you real quick. Won't take but a second. Real quick, before we switch over to the Reforged Eden, I want to be sure to point this out. Whether in the creative Reforged Eden or in vanilla or even playing the game trying to fix something, in order to bring up the menu where you can have access to everything, is H. Now, this will only work if you are in admin mode. To access that in the actual game, you would have to do item menu, which I just disabled it. That is how that's done. I wanted to be sure that you guys knew that you can bring up a menu, have all the different types of weapons in the game, so that when you're building, you can actually pull different items out and put them on to see how they look. You go into single player, you go to start, then you go to scenario, then you click your Reforged Eden, and now up here, game mode, you click creative, empty world, no, and I really wouldn't worry about any of this other stuff. It's really not gonna make a difference because it's going to be a creative world. And then you can choose your starting planet. I normally just start on Haven. All right, here we are in Reforged Eden, creative world. As you can see, they've got their own base here. Turn on your jetpack, you can fly around. One big thing that you can do, let's take this as an example here, is you want to go through your controls. Keyboard shortcuts makes things a lot easier. And one thing you'll find in there is when you want to actually, let's say we just built this, right? And we want to put it into the factory. You hold Alt and press O, and you click Save As, and it's already the cruiser MK1, and we'll just put a dash test on it and click Save. Now when you go into the factory and you click the little person sign, that's everything that you built. Now we'll see in here, we have the cruiser MK1 test. And that's how I've managed to get all of these. You can also do that with bases and all kinds of other cool things. One thing you need to remember, if you're building things out of the workshop, if you get your list too big, you won't see everything in game. I have some things that don't show up on here because my list is too long. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If any of this was remotely helpful, please hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And I will catch you on the flip side.